Hello there. I'm an illustrator who is in 12-step recovery, and I go by the name 12 Drawings because anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all the traditions in 12-step recovery. I began my journey to recovery from a hopeless state of addiction. Suicide was my only other option. I don't say that lightly. If you're ever considering suicide, please remember two things. Don't keep it to yourself. Do reach out for help. And number two, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem or concern. That's my experience, my hope, and my strength to offer to you. Now, I've created a series of drawings which are meant to call attention to words used in the original big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, written by a man named Bill Wilson in the late 30s, around 1936 to 1939, as I understand. He was working on this book and it was published. Um, it's written in a kind of a language that I consider to be a little old-fashioned, a little stiff, a little formal. He was a very formally educated person, so I don't think he meant to put anybody off, but that's just the way that he wrote. I found I got a lot more out of reading that literature once I found a dictionary that dates to about that same period, Webster's unabridged dictionary. And I began taking words from the 12-step literature and looking them up. Step one begins with the statement, we were powerless over alcohol in Bill Wilson's case, and that our lives have become unmanageable. Now, I say alcohol in Bill Wilson's case because although the 12 steps originated in Alcoholics Anonymous, they've gone on to be used for any number of very serious and deadly addictions and or deadly compulsions, and have been helpful to many people in recovering from those, myself included. Um, so I looked up the word powerless in that old dictionary, wondering how they would define it. It said the lack of sufficient power, skill, or resources of any kind to accomplish an object. That in itself is slightly, I don't know, old-fashioned, a little bit stiff and formal, but it's basically saying I don't have enough of power or skill or resources in order to do a specific thing I want to do. For most people, that means stop doing this very destructive thing. Now, I turned my thoughts as an illustrator to how would you draw something that was powerless? Well, you could show a flashlight with no batteries. You could show I don't know, a boat with that's filled up with water and it's sunk below to the bottom of the ocean. But I really thought what made the most sense to me as an illustrator was find something really powerful, that nevertheless lacks sufficient power, skill, or resources to accomplish an act. Eventually, I found this image in my mind of a very, very powerful uh, crane. I guess might be a steam engine, steam crane that was used, I'm told, to lift railroad cars that have fallen off of a railroad track. Big, heavy railroad cars fallen off the railroad track. A crane of this type would come along and lift up the heavy railroad car and put it back onto the track. Well, in this drawing, you can see what a strong crane it surely must have been. However, it's been turned to the purpose of attaching to itself and trying to lift itself off the ground. It's trying to lift itself off the ground by pulling as hard as it can using the very powerful tool that it has built into itself. As you can imagine, it's not working. The no matter how powerful this engine is, it's not going to pull itself off the ground. And there's a message in there for me. I had spent an awful lot of time trying to fix myself. I was absolutely convinced I had enough power to do it. I needed willpower. I needed patience. I needed persistence. I needed to be smarter, work harder. I just needed more power. And I realized this drawing is a reminder to me to stop that. I never needed more power. What I needed was a power higher than myself that could restore me to sanity, as the steps say, or could simply attach itself to this crane and lift the crane up very simply. But that's not going to happen as long as the crane's trying to lift itself. So that was a reminder to me. I will go on in my other drawings, as you'll hear in this series, talking about the same thing, how this word helped me understand my own recovery and helped me understand what it was that the original writer was writing. Now again, I go by the name 12Drawings simply to honor the tradition of anonymity. If you want to read more, please visit 12drawings.com. Thanks so much for listening.